Welcome into another fun edition of Chalk Talk. Nick Camino, Ben Axelrod. This week we are coming to you from our homes. I'm hopeful, maybe, we'll see. Maybe next week we'll be back in studio, but appreciate everybody that watches us or checks us out every week, whether it's in audio form or you're watching us together. We appreciate you making us a part of your week as we look at football, college football, NFL through the lens that is sports gambling. Obviously, we do it for entertainment. It's funny. We both go 2-1. We're both coming off of winning weekends, and both on the season we're at 6-6. So we're at 50%, probably slightly under where we want to be. But hey, at the end of the day, 6-6 through 12 games. It could be a lot worse. Probably could be a little bit better, but I guess we'll take it right now.
Yeah, I mean we're still early. We are less than, now that we're in a 17-week schedule for the NFL, we're less than a quarter of the way through this. So yeah, I'll gladly tread water at this point. Probably better than the only other viable alternative. So,
yeah, that's right. It's so weird. I'm so used to saying the quarter pole mark. You're right. We're not there yet because of the extra game.
Yeah, it used to be split up nicely, 4-4, 4-4, and I'm not good at math. So yeah, at some point like next Thursday, we'll be a quarter of the way through the NFL season.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, each week we pick games against the spread. Again, all of for entertainment purposes only. We have yet to take a total. That is an option for us, though. We can take a point total or a side, college, NFL. We're into week 6 already of college football. I can't believe that. Week 5 of the NFL. This is our 5th episode as well in our 3rd season of Chalk Talk. So, Ben, I guess we'll kind of get it going here for our picks and see where we're at. I do have 2 in college, 1 in the NFL. You went straight NFL. Since that Akron, Ohio State game, it's going to take a while for you to get back into college, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure there's like a big SEC game in the first week of November, probably some sort of LSU Alabama game that I'll get sucked back in by. But yeah, that Ohio State Akron game, that's going to haunt me the rest of the season. So
you're going to pick the best.
Know, right?
You're going to pick the best SEC game. You need it to be as much like the NFL as you can. That's
exactly. Yeah, I need lots of prospects on the field.
All right, here we go. Friday night. I'm going to start with a Friday night game. A lot of times we pick the Thursday NFL game. There's a few games on Friday. I am going to take the Temple Owls getting 29 points against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, if you've watched this show or followed me on social media, certainly have taken a liking to the Cincinnati Bearcats. They come off a huge win against Notre Dame. They're ranked 5th in the country. It's probably their biggest win in school history in that game. There's people that are talking about them as a realistic, finally, someone that's a non-Power 5 that can crash the party, maybe. They'd obviously have to run the table, can't lose to like a UCF or something. They got to win the American Conference and then probably need some help. So I really like the Bearcats. Fickell's name is being tossed around for other big jobs. Eventually, they're going to the Big 12. So this is definitely a program that's on the come up, and I followed them closely. Saying all of that, and I love Desmond Ridder. I love the entire team, and I love that they were able to beat Notre Dame. I love everything they've done. I just think 29 points in a conference game here, following a big time win. They're coming home. They're off that big win in South Bend. I just don't know that they're just going to come in and throttle a conference opponent like Temple, who, oh, by the way, was an 11-point underdog and went into Memphis and won on the road. So I think this Temple team, they're coached by Rod Carey. Got a chance to watch them a little bit when they throttled Akron earlier in the year. So I don't think Temple's a bad team. Certainly don't know if they deserve to be getting 29 points here. Again, I got to make it clear. I think Cincinnati wins the game. They might win by 24, 27, 28, but getting 29 points with Temple in a conference game, I think there's some value here.
Yeah. So I mean, my initial thought with this pick for you was this is a letdown spot for Cincinnati, right? Classic letdown spot, coming off a big win over Notre Dame. All the national buzz, maybe they come out sloppy, maybe they come out unfocused. And then the more you talk about it and the more I think about this line, you could have the letdown. You could have this be a close call. You could also have Cincinnati win by 21 points. You could have Cincinnati win by 24 points. You could have Cincinnati win by 28 points. Like, there is just a wide range of outcomes as far as Temple covering the spot. Whereas for Cincinnati to cover, like, there's really only one route, and that's just them blowing the doors off of Temple, which you would know pretty early probably. And then you always have a chance at a backdoor cover too. So yeah, I mean, for me, this is a stay away, but I think if you're going to pick this game, like, I think this is probably the only way to do it.
Yeah, a lot of different avenues, I think, where you can cover as opposed to, right, if you take Cincinnati, the margin there is, gosh, you just need to go blow them up by 30 plus. You know, it's just, that's hard to do. And even on a Friday night in the national spotlight, Temple will be up for the game. So I think there's some value there with the Owls getting 29. Ben, your first pick of the week here.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about probably the biggest story in football this week. Hopefully, we're still accurate by the time this thing posts tomorrow. But I've got the Tennessee Titans -4 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this pick is pretty self-explanatory. If you follow everything that's been going on with Urban Meyer, not only the distraction there, but it seems like his locker room has already revolted on him, just in terms of, feeling disrespected as far as his explanation for everything that was going on with that viral video. And then on top of that, man, I don't know if you watched last week's Thursday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Jaguars, which actually the Jaguars covered. I've never seen an NFL head coach live and die with every play like Urban Meyer. It really, it's you compare that to, how stoic Kevin Stefanski is, whether he's on the winning side of a blowout or the losing side of a blowout or anywhere in between. Man, I've never seen a head coach like throw fits over, 2nd and 5 in the second quarter. It's crazy to me. I just do not think Urban Meyer is cut out for the NFL. The Jaguars are one of 2 winless teams still in the NFL with the Detroit Lions. And then on top of that, Mike Vrabel and Urban Meyer have a history dating back to Ohio State. Some rumblings of some bad blood there between the two of them from their time together on Ohio State staff in 2012 and 2013. I just think this is a spot for the Titans to bounce back after losing an overtime game to the Jets. And I think the Jaguars are really the perfect opponent. It would be so stunning to me to see the Jaguars come out and play inspired football on Sunday. It really would.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. This is another one of your picks I fell in love with. By the way, the last pick I fell in love with of yours, the Rams absolutely blew the doors off of Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. It was a great pick by you. And so I'm with you on this one. I mean, especially because not even forget all the Jag stuff. As you said, the Titans lose a tough game against the Jets. You know that they're going to be rearing to go. That's still a good football team. I think they got caught maybe, just not really paying attention or just, kind of thinking they roll into New York and win that game. So I think they'll be revved up. As you mentioned, the Urban Meyer stuff is an absolute disaster. I think you're right, too, and that the Jags played a pretty good game against the Bengals the other night. You can make the argument they should have won that game. Up 14-0. I think Meyer should have kicked the field goal to go up 17-0. You're up 3 scores at that point. Try to go for 21-0. That's still a 3-score game at that point. So I didn't understand that logic, but doesn't get it. And then that just changed the whole complexion of the game. Joe Burrow and the Bengals roll in the second half. So I'm with you here, all over this pick. And yeah, I think Urban Meyer, I don't know. I thought that the John Beeline Cavs experiment was pretty bad. This is if Meyer's gone this year, it's right up there with the Beeline experiment.
Oh, no question. I think one thing going back to, Urban not being able to get out of his college ways is you and I watched a lot of Urban. I watched a ton of Urban Meyer at Ohio State, covered him for basically his entire time with the Buckeyes. When Ohio State would get in these tight games where they were really desperate for a win, his crutch was always running with the quarterback, whether it was Braxton Miller or JT Barrett. He's doing that again with Trevor Lawrence, and I do not think you can do that in the NFL. You cannot have your number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, taking the pounding that he was taking against the Bengals. And that, to me, is just one of those crutches, and it kind of goes to show how desperate Urban Meyer is. Just get a win under his belt in the NFL. So I just think the more and more you see that, I just do not think that playing style is very conducive to winning in the NFL.
And the thing I like about Lawrence is he does have the ability to run, but he's not Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
exactly.
He could shoot a little bit. Even back in the day, John Elway could run a little bit, but, it's not like he was one of these runners. I mean, it's just, I think there's value that a guy like Lawrence, he can get out of trouble. But that's not the name of his game. So I think you're right. They're not even using him well. And I am of the belief, I know they're 0-4. I think that roster has some talent. I like the running back. The defense has some nice pieces. I mean, I don't think those guys are that bad, which makes the Urban Meyer situation even more crazy that this guy might be gone.
I'm totally right there with you.
All right, second game. I think it's the game of the week in college football. You've got number 3 versus number 4. It's good. I'm going to take the Iowa Hawkeyes -2 at home against the Penn State Nittany Lions. It's crazy because I think, and I think the line will show this, I think Penn State is slightly better, which shows you, usually the home team in an even game, I would be getting 3 here. So I was only giving 2. I think odds makers probably think that Penn State is the better team, but on the road in that environment, Ben, you and I, we've seen some really good Ohio State teams go in there and lose. I remember that game a few years ago. It was an afternoon game that Ohio State lost to Iowa. This is a 4:00 game. Even though it's 4:00, I still think the crowd's going to be nuts. It's a tough environment. This thing is really paved for Iowa. Even if Iowa loses a game because of what's happened in the Big Ten West, Minnesota's been bad. Wisconsin isn't as good as everyone thought. This thing is really paved for Iowa to represent the Big Ten West, and they're going to get the winner of either Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State. That Big Ten East is loaded, and the West is so bad. So I think Kirk Ferentz and the Hawkeyes have a chance, even with a loss, to sneak into the Big Ten title game, which is pretty remarkable. That program was kind of in shambles about a year or two ago. So I'm going to take Iowa here -2. I think they find a way to win the game, even though I don't think on paper they're as good as Penn State, but I think this is a good spot for them.
Yeah, this Big Ten race, I almost hesitate to say this. I almost wonder if Ohio State losing to Oregon was, in some way the best thing for the Big Ten from an entertainment standpoint, because now you're right. I mean, you have Iowa, you have Penn State battling it out in a 3-4 game. You have Michigan, still undefeated. And then you have Ohio State, who, based on Oregon losing again, I mean, Ohio State needs Oregon to lose at least one more time, which is perfectly conceivable. Ohio State's still right there in the playoff picture as well. So, we're getting to early October here and still have a handful of Big Ten teams right there in the thick of the playoff race. So, I think it's conceivable that the Big Ten, I don't know how this would work because you got to figure the SEC is going to be pretty well positioned as well. But the Big Ten will certainly, just projecting it out, could have an argument for 2 teams come playoff time in early December.
That'll be interesting. That's going to be very interesting. All right, let's go to your second pick, Ben. NFL. Back to the NFL.
Yeah, my second pick here, and this is a team I hesitate to bet on as well, but I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers -1 hosting the Denver Broncos. Look, I mean, I think we're in agreement here that Big Ben is totally done, but I just think at the end of the day, like, if they lose this game, I think the Steelers season totally falls off a cliff, and maybe it does fall off a cliff. And that's perfectly, conceivable, but I think the Steelers are playing for their season here. I think they're going to find a way to work around Big Ben's deficiencies, although they haven't to this point in the season. And then I think the Broncos, you have Teddy Bridgewater dealing with a concussion. Not sure if he's going to play or not yet, but if you have Drew Lock in there, I think that's a totally different Broncos team. You have a Broncos team coming off a blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens at home. I just think this is a spot where, the season's on the line here for the Steelers. And I think Mike Tomlin's a good enough coach that, to cover a 1-point spread here. They actually opened as underdogs before moving to a 1-point favorite at home. I just think the Steelers are going to, play their hearts out. They're a little bit more healthy now than they've been in the past few weeks. And I just think this is a must win for them, and they find a way to do it.
I want you to start making my picks. This is I'm all in on this one too. And I think Denver, they started out 3-0, but I think that they had played a soft schedule a little bit.
It was very soft.
And their quarterback situation's kind of up in the air. I think the Broncos looked a lot last week against the Ravens, what I thought they would look like. Remember, we were talking about Vic Fangio. We went from first coach maybe to get fired to coach of the year. Well, now I think it's like, well, hold on. Let's see what happens this year now with these guys. Although I did like what Fangio said about the Ravens. He said it was BS that they were going for that. He was ticked off. And Fangio's also the guy that called out Urban Meyer about the Alabama every week thing. That was kind of funny.
That's right.
But on with you, I think, and this maybe isn't even bashing Denver as much. I just think you're right. The Steelers absolutely, unequivocally need this game. I mean, it's not even close. So a lot of value here, I feel, with the home team for sure. All right, my third pick finally going to go into the NFL. And for the NFL, I got to wait all the way until Sunday night. This is the Sunday night football game. And Ben, I'm actually using your logic here. I remember you said one time, gosh, if you can get a team like the Chiefs or a team like the Buccaneers under a field goal, there's some value here. I think this is absolutely the case. I'm going to take the Chiefs -2.5 on Sunday Night Football. against the Bills. Yes, the Bills have throttled everybody since week 1 in that loss to the Steelers. But and I know this is kind of a revenge spot for them from the AFC title game. But man, I mean, Patrick Mahomes at home, Arrowhead, Sunday Night Football. All I have to do is win by a field goal with the Chiefs. The Bills have been good. They haven't been this great. I mean, I feel like they should be getting 4.5, 6, 7, something like that. So I'll take the Chiefs here minus the 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault picking the Chiefs under a field goal. I think that's always in the range. I mean, the Chiefs are favored in this game, and if you think they're going to win it, you've got to figure they're going to win it by 3 points or more. It's, pretty rare that doesn't happen. But this is one, I mean, I would feel nervous about it because I think the Bills are a good team. I think that, I think in a game like this, which, is a rematch from the AFC title game, could very well be a preview of the AFC title game. I think it means more to a team like the Bills as opposed to a team like the Chiefs that has been to 2 straight Super Bowls. This is the Bills' chance to knock off the reigning AFC champs for the past 2 seasons. Having said all that, because the Chiefs started the season 1-2 and are now 2-2, and really kind of a sloppy win against the Eagles last week, that was actually one of my wins, but they did not cover pretty in that game, if there's such a thing. The Chiefs can't afford. I mean, they can't afford to lose games, but they are, I think, going to be more on their toes. I think they're going to be more acute to this game than maybe they would have been if they were entering it with a 4-0 or 3-1 record. So. Again, can't fault the overall principle, but of your 3 picks, probably the one I feel least confident in.
There we go. That was Ben's polite way of saying I'm staying the heck away from this one. And Ben, third and final pick for you.
Yeah, man, I'm going to get roasted on this one, but I've got the Los Angeles Chargers as a pick-em against your Cleveland Browns. Look, something's off with Baker Mayfield, and I don't know if it's his shoulder. I don't know if it's Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if it was just a bad couple of games because I don't even think it was just the Vikings game. I didn't think he played very well in that Bears game either. But the Browns now going second straight game on the road, heading to the West Coast against just a really good Chargers team, a team that's loaded with talent on both sides of the ball. I think the Browns defense, for as good as they've played, this is a big step up in competition from the Bears and even the Vikings. So Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, they're hitting on all cylinders. You've got Joey Bosa going up against the banged up Browns defensive line or offensive line. Again, this is just a pick 'em. Just need the Chargers to win this one. And then on the flip side, I just think like this is kind of a scheduled loss for the Browns. I think they've taken care of business against the Texans and Bears. They won an ugly game against the Vikings. After this, they come home and host the Cardinals and Broncos and Steelers. So they have 3 games at home after this. And I just think this is a spot where, hey, if you're going to lose a game, there's no shame in losing to the Chargers, who look like a very good team right now. You do have the Chargers coming off a short week. I do think Baker Mayfield has a history of bouncing back, but I just think they're, I look at the Browns schedule, and if they don't lose this game, like, I don't know, are they going to get to like 7-1, 8-1? I don't know. I don't see it. So I just think this feels like a scheduled loss. I just feel a lot better with this, like as a pick 'em than I would if it was Chargers -3.
Ben's going 3-0 this week. I mean, I should have just had you make my picks. You're going 3-0. I love them all. I love your picks better than mine. I'm with you on this one. Not worried about the short week. They were at home against the Raiders. The Browns played a pretty physical football game against the Minnesota Vikings. I think that can wear on teams a little bit. And something's not right with Baker Mayfield. I know Kevin Stefanski said the other day, hey, everything's fine, but they're not going to tell it through the media if something's wrong with him. They're just not going to do it. That front four for the Chargers, was watching them on Monday Night Football. They are tough. I mean, not just Bosa. I mean, they've got a lot of guys. Even their front seven, the linebackers too. That is low-key one of the better teams in the AFC that no one's talking about. When on the road, they beat the Chiefs. Come home, they beat the Raiders, who are a pretty good team. I really like what we're seeing. It's funny. I watch Baker Mayfield play quarterback right now with whatever's going on with him, and I feel like it's somebody driving like an off-roading Jeep, like to get to where they got to go. I feel like when I'm watching Justin Herbert, it's like a smooth Cadillac. I mean, this guy, cool, calm, collected. He's got nice touch. And it seems like the game is really slow for him. I mean, like in terms of he's able to slow things down. I really like his game. I think I was wrong about him coming out of Oregon. He's gotten better since he's gotten to the NFL. This guy is really nice player. And I like the running backs too. I like the receivers that he can throw to. He's got like 5 different options he was going to on Monday night. So yeah, I think you're right. The schedule hurts the Browns here too. It's going to be a real tough spot for the Browns to get a win. And I like the Chargers to do some damage in the AFC this year too. So I'm all over this with you. I like all 3 of your picks, Ben. Well done. I like them all.
I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I think the Browns are the front runners in the AFC North. I think that this could be a very successful season. But man, this stretch, Chargers and Cardinals, two of the better teams at this point in the NFL. This is going to be one of the tougher stretches of the Browns schedule for sure.
By the way, early line for people, if they want to know this, I saw the week 6 lines week 6 lines were out for the NFL. Browns have opened as a 3-point favorite against the Cardinals. The following week, the Westgate Superbook is doing a head week. So I think that's actually, if we're just looking ahead for a second, I think that's a scheduling win for the Browns. It's a 4:00 game against the Cardinals. I feel like, the Cardinals having to come east, and I think it's like a prime spot for the Browns. But let's get through this week and see what they can do. Hopefully, Ben and I are wrong, right? Hopefully, we're wrong on that. But listen, that's going to do it for another fun edition of Chalk Talk. We got 6 picks out there, a few in college, a few in the NFL. Hopefully, we can at least both go 2-1. 6-0 would be great for both of us combined. It'd be fun to keep it going here. So we appreciate you watching us, and we'll talk to you next week, and good luck.